Welcome to Foodland Ventures Food Tech Demo Day, with a food tech fund and accelerator built for food tech founders. The agriculture and food industry is one of the largest sectors, no matter where you are. The global market size for the agriculture and food industry will reach 6 trillion and 9 trillion. Not only is it one of the largest sectors worldwide, our livelihood together as humankind depends on it. The way we grow, distribute, and consume our food is impacting the world at a much faster speed than before. Technology and innovation are solving the food industry's problems from farm to table. The global food and agriculture technology and products market was assessed to be $496 billion in 2021 and is determined to reach over $700 billion by 2026. At Foodland Ventures, we want to empower food tech startup founders around the world who are moving the food industry forward with innovation and technology. Now, let's welcome the founders of Foodland Ventures to officially kickstart our first Food Tech Demo Day.
Welcome to Foodland Ventures' first Food Tech Demo Day. I'm Victor, founder and CEO of Foodland Ventures, the investment fund and accelerator built for food tech founders. Foodland Ventures is Taiwan's first food tech focused accelerator, and we also operate one of the biggest online media non-magazine and the biggest food industry community here in Taiwan. Our vision is to build a global ecosystem of innovation and technology that drives the food industry forward, connecting startups, VCs, industry partners from farm to table and all around the world. Not only do we want to build a connected food tech ecosystem, our food tech fund and accelerator is dedicated to invest in and help food tech startups globally from APAC to Southeast Asia to North America. We help startup fundraise with food tech specific investors, connect them with value customers in the F&B industry. We also connect food tech startups with the global food tech entrepreneurial ecosystem. Because of the recent COVID situation, the world has accelerated on the adoption of many food industry technologies. Food tech has become the solution to solve food industry's problem all around the world. Innovations including cloud kitchens, delivery and smart logistics, in-store restaurant tech, automations, and many more. Thanks again for joining us today. We are proud to present to you our portfolio startup. All of them are already solving food industry's challenge with innovation and technology. Let me pass the mic to my co-founder, Agnes and Louis, with over 10 years of venture capital experience and over 20 years of food consultancy experience, to talk to you more about Foodland Ventures in Mandarin Chinese.
大家好，欢迎来到福田资本2021年 Demo Day， 我是 Agnes。
大家好，我是 Louis。
福田资本是台湾唯一一家专注于投资餐饮科技新创的基金与加速器。我们同时经营着台湾最大的餐饮从业者社群以及线上美食媒体。
我们的目标是建立餐饮业与餐饮科技之间的桥梁，除了引导餐饮业者导入运用创新科技加速成长外，也准备运用台湾的产业经验，扩大发展，复制到国际市场。
透过台湾与北美两个据点，我们招募优秀的餐饮科技新创团队，协助他们在全球范围内进行商业拓展，并投资从产地到餐桌各个领域深具潜力的新创公司。
Foodland Ventures 不只是在餐饮科技的领域上提供资金与营运策略来协助我们投资的新创团队，更大的优势是透过 Foodland 团队与第一线连锁餐饮企业的决策高层做最直接的连结，拥有最快速的市场回馈，让我们的新创企业在短时间可以找出最佳的商业模式，透过提早分析餐饮业面临的困难点，结合新创的技术能力与快速调整，锁定适合的测试场域，增加产品开发的成功机会。
因为疫情呢，我们尤其看到了整个餐饮新创产业透过科技所创造出来的价值，很明确的加速了餐饮业在接下来投资资源发展的方向。那投资人也在其中寻找标的，是能够克服实体环境中异质化的餐饮现场，促成关键的通路伙伴转移，并快速进行多市场的发展的创新商业模式。
在这样的疫情期间，台湾的餐饮业长期以来习惯的商业模式要做出巨大调整，而不论是从最前端的数位化采购媒合平台，一直到最终端的顾客线上点餐，透过这些餐饮科技的导入应用，不只是为了因应短期的变通方式，也是个能够给业者们下定决心做好数位化转型的契机。我相信更是一个在未来能够升级台湾餐饮业既有竞争力的起始点。
由于气候变迁以及人口成长，发展中的国家关注的是替代性的食材以及永续议题，已开发的国家则更在意食物的选择以及快速、多样、安全与卫生。今天我们为大家介绍的新创团队，他们所专注解决的议题包含餐饮外送、云端厨房、智慧供应链、Direct to Customer、餐厅内的数位化以及自动化无人餐厅。谢谢今天所有线上参与的来宾。那接下来让我们欣赏今天精彩的内容。
Welcome to the Fireside Chat session for Foodland Ventures Food Tech Virtual Demo Day. I'm Victor, founder and CEO of Foodland Ventures. I'll be your moderator of today's Fireside Chat session. We're very honored to be joined by top-tier VCs and accelerators today. As you may know, Foodland Ventures is dedicated to help connect food tech startups to the global market and the food tech ecosystem all around the world. So today, we're very glad to have industry heavyweights with lots of experience in the food tech investment in multiple markets joining us. We'll look into a little bit about the topic of global food tech investment and talk a little bit more about the future of the food industry. First of all, on the bottom left, we want to welcome Rohit Agarwal, the Vice President of Sequoia India, who is currently based in Singapore. He's very experienced in the Southeast Asia and Asian market, and also in food tech. He has been on the board of multiple food tech startups and now investing in various food and tech companies. Hi, Rohit.
Hi, Victor. Pleasure to meet all of you.
And on the bottom right, we have William Baobin, General Partner at SOSV and Managing Director of China Accelerator and Mox, one of the most active accelerator and VC worldwide in the investment sector, who is also very familiar with the Chinese, US, and Southeast Asian market. Will is always flying around all over US and Asia. And you're currently at East Coast, the US?
Yeah, I'm in the US East Coast, getting ready to fly back to Shanghai. Great to be here. SOSV is the #1 most active investor in food tech in the world, I think, according to Ag Funder. So quite active in the space and really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you, Will. And last but not least, we have Leo Hayashima joining us from Tokyo. He's the managing director at Food Tech Studio Bytes, the food tech accelerator run by the Silicon Valley and Japan-based Scrum Ventures, which has multiple accelerators focused on food tech, sports tech, smart city. And hi, Leo.
Hi, Victor. Thanks for inviting me. I'm really honored to be a part of this great session today. So I hope I can tell you and audiences about Japanese tradition based on my experience. Thank you.
All right. As you guys can tell, we are very lucky today to get insights all across the world from expert investors from multiple geographic areas. And because we think that the accelerated growth of the food tech sector is a global phenomenon, and we encourage not only our own portfolio startups to go global, but also new food tech founders all around the world to join us today to understand more about the different geographic specialties and challenge in each area. All right, let's get right into the topics today. Food tech. Food tech is often a very broad term, and at Foodland Ventures, we always say it's a technology enabling sectors from the farm to table. So it's quite a broad range. For example, smart supply chain, biotech in the food sector, agri-tech, and on the business and consumer sector like automation, SaaS, and for the newer business concept like cloud kitchens, even tech-enabled like direct-to-consumer brands, food brands nowadays. And I'd like to ask all the speakers, what is your definition of food tech, and which specific sector are you guys looking actively in your market? Perhaps tell us a little bit about an example of one of the most interesting or unexpected portfolios that you guys invested in the food tech sector. Let's start with Rohit to tell us about like the Southeast Asia market and the food tech portfolios that you're familiar with.
Hey, thanks, Victor. We are based in Southeast Asia, and Southeast Asia is 600 million people population, and almost 100 billion plus annual spend on food services. So it's a gigantic sector from a market opportunity perspective for us. We have been looking at, and I've actually been investors in almost all manifestations of food tech. So from food delivery with players like Gojek to POS providers with players like Mochaboss, where I had the chance to serve on the board for 2 years, and also now more recently into actual food brands. So we're investors in companies like Kopi Kenangan and Lemonillo, which are all sort of disrupting the food supply chain as well as bringing new products to the market. From our perspective, we see that there are potentially two very key areas which could be disrupted with technology and also new age retail models which are enabled by technology. I think the first is that the food supply chain inherently is very, very inefficient. If you come to think of everywhere from where the food is produced to how it arrives to end consumers, there are at least in markets, and especially emerging markets like Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, there are 5 to 10 middlemen. And I think a lot of startups are going after disintermediating the supply chain and bringing more and more proximity and removing inefficiencies between food producers and consumers. And so I think that's one big area where a lot of e-grocery startups, a lot of supply chain startups, companies like Cargo, which is a logistics company in Indonesia, all of these players are playing a role. And on the front end of the kitchen, once the food is prepared, there are a lot of newer models emerging. Obviously, food delivery is very widely known and now well established around the world, but we're also seeing Victor, to your point, what is an unexpected company that we ended up investing in? I would like to call out Kopi Kenangan. It's a very interesting model in that it's obviously grab and go. So they are building a Starbucks for Indonesia, but with no dine-in space. And you have these small kiosks like grab and go stores, and actually all the orders come through the app. So customers pre-order their coffee or whatever beverages they want on an app and just go and pick up and move on. So it's helping them in a way with technology and also bring a lot more affordability to premium products within Indonesia. So it's a pretty interesting space, and we're seeing actually more and more, like even Lemonillo, which is a company that we recently partnered with. It's disrupting food with a healthy positioning. So it's bringing products with health focus to the market for the first time in Indonesia, which is quite exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting to see that not only like the tech scalable sector of the food tech sector, but also like tech-enabled food brands that's growing faster and faster. I think now when we talk about food tech nowadays, it's not only technology startups, it's actually food startups also. What about William? Well, can you tell us a little about the food tech investment trend that you're seeing from the Chinese and perhaps US market? And is there similar things that you're seeing happening?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so we invest across biotech, internet and software, and even hardware. On the biotech side, we're super interested in the disruption of the sort of animal protein. Right now, animal protein is still 98% plus of the market, less than 2% as in alternative proteins. And so we think there's a huge opportunity there. And we've invested up and down that chain. We're probably the most active investor in the world in this area. Companies like Perfect Day, Notco, Upside Foods, which used to be known as Memphis Meats. So one of a couple of recent investments out of Taiwan is Lipid. And what they're doing is basically oil that tastes like meat fat. So you get that kind of meaty, fatty flavor without the actual animal. And so while there's some leaders out there in the market, we think it's not a competition between the players, but in fact, it's more about just growing the market in favor of these alternative proteins. And some of the people on our team think that within 30 years, we won't be eating animals anymore. I wouldn't go that far. But I would say that it's a little bit like sports cars. Animals are, some people drive them, some people drive them for the experience. Some people will eat animals, some people will eat animals for the experience, but it won't be the everyday. And then just to follow on with what Rohit is saying, I mean, we're actively involved in the food supply chain and ecosystem. One of our companies, Supply Note, out of India, is helping these mom and pop restaurants. And the challenge there is India, you got like 400 ingredients, you're buying microscopic quantities of them, and there's many middlemen. You're out in an open marketplace. So what Supply Note does is it creates a platform connecting the suppliers to the restaurants. And on average, we're seeing a 70% increase in profit for the restaurants just within the first month, because they're aggregating their purchasing with other restaurants. So not only is it mom and pop, but also small chain. And we're also supporting the largest cloud kitchen player in India. Bringing together that type of aggregation of demand should really change the market significantly. We're active across the spectrum, from the actual food side to the software and internet and platform side. And then last thing is just restaurants have tough time. It's a low margin business to begin with. COVID's been very difficult, and now the delivery guys are basically taking all the profit from the restaurants. So we've invested in a couple of technology platforms, Skilla Discount in Indonesia, also BistroChat and Blink in Pakistan, BistroChat in Hong Kong. And these companies are disaggregating the food delivery companies, working directly with the restaurants and cutting out the big delivery players and giving the full profit of the delivery to the restaurant owner and allowing them to have a living again. So thanks.
Yeah, that's very cool. I think it's cool to see that there's definitely a first wave of like the delivery disruption, and there's even more solution that's coming to hack out the problem that's created by the delivery tech. I think that's a generation of food tech that's growing that we're seeing already. All right. How about Lil? We know that Japan is kind of known for a very advanced food manufacturing sector. What kind of food tech portfolios are you looking at Scrum Ventures? And do you have any favorite ones that you guys invested in?
Yeah, so so first speak a little about Scrum Ventures, our venture capital. So we are San Francisco based, starting from San Francisco in 2012. And so they're working across the US and Japan, and we focus on the early stage startups from seed to Series A. And we are so basically sector agnostic. So we have invested in over 80 companies, and of course, so some of them are food tech related. So in US, say Grab Market, so kind of farm to table food delivery. They raised 90 million in the latest round, Series D, on last February, expanding their service rapidly. And so talking a little about Japanese market, the food tech market in Japan is so a little behind from US and Europe, like 5 years or 3 years. And so even a big food tech startup, so still their raise amount is 10 or 20 million. But in Japanese food industry started to working on food tech rapidly from last year under the corona pandemic. So and ministries and agencies have also started to support the food tech sector by like setting up councils on food tech last year. So now in Japan, so we also invested in food tech related startups. So one of the our portfolio is the Food Code. the kind of, the carry change. So with the mobile, very digital, providing a very digital experience. And so we are, still looking for any kinds of the great food tech startups in Japan and also US and the restaurant tech or, agri-tech. So for us, so now we are launching a new fund in this summer. And so we want to focus on more on food tech sectors in Japan to, do a good job to keeping Japanese food tech industry thriving.
That's awesome. I think the food tech sector is definitely gaining more and more awareness. I think it's good to see that we're building funds specifically for food tech, and it's definitely very interesting to see in multiple markets, and not only in tech, but again, kind of echo Rohit and Lil in the same time, that food brands are actually being tech enabled and scaled globally in different geographic areas. All right. As you guys know, in the audience today, we have lots of Taiwanese startup joining us. Having also based in Taiwan, I think William, you know that very, very well that we have lots of great tech talents and a really robust food industry from farm to table here in Taiwan, but with a very, very small market. So food tech startup coming out of Taiwan needs to have a global mindset from the very start to be able to find success globally. I like to kind of ask every one of us speakers today that what characteristics do you guys think that a startup needs to possess in order to gain success in different markets, perhaps in specific markets that you guys are familiar with? And what are the differences between the markets? I know that you guys kind of cross geographic area, have those experience. And what does it take to have for a food tech startup to go global outside of its home market? I think I'll pass this question to William to tell us a little bit about Taiwanese startup first, and maybe perhaps tell us a little bit about Chinese startups going global.
Yeah, sure. So I think the key to understand is that unless you're coming out of the US or maybe China, possibly India, your home market's going to be too small to build a large scale business. And so especially in food tech and agriculture tech, you want to be present in multiple markets for almost all the companies. So we help with that. And so three things to just really pay attention to. One is you want to go into a market where the product or platform or solution or service that you're providing actually solves a problem in that market. And that's not always the case. So, if something's built for Taiwan, it might not be a good fit for India because India is very different than Taiwan, right? You need to basically figure out whether you're actually solving an on-the-ground local problem in the markets. The second thing is, you need to go there, right? So we invested in Bigo Wang, and out of Kaohsiung. The goal here was help them expand out of Taiwan, where they're a leader, into Southeast Asia and across the world. But Kevin, the CEO, had never been to Southeast Asia before. So the first thing we did was bring him to Southeast Asia, introduce him to companies, introduce him to partners, and help him, get to know the local ecosystems. And now, he's a price compare e-commerce platform, #1 in Thailand, #1 in Malaysia, doing very well in Singapore and Indonesia, just taking, they're doing like 20%, 30% week-on-week growth, very profitable, and scaling. And not only, but it wasn't like the first time. This is their second time into Singapore. First time failed, second time's doing well. This is their second time going into Indonesia. First time failed, second time's doing well. Their first attempt into Japan and Italy also both failed. But that doesn't, don't let that stop them. So the third thing is, you might fail, but don't give up. And so, take your unfair advantage. In Bigo's case, they're just very technical and understand search and advertising extremely well, and really try and drive that across and make sure you're solving that local problem. And if you at first fail, don't give up. Try again.
Yes, definitely. I think that's a good takeaway for all startups trying to, especially in the food sector, trying to go global. I think being present to actually find product market fit remotely is actually kind of a hard thing, and you kind of have to actually be in the market to actually succeed. How about Lil? What about characteristic for Japanese startups? Do you guys think that there's specific things that you guys look into or kind of want to reinforce for Japanese startups trying to go global?
Yeah, so from the Japanese standpoint, so as you may know, most of Japanese startups are still really domestic since they access the certain side of the market only in Japan. But in order to go global, so I think the communication skill is most important. So not only language, so to understand the cultural or gap or what is the difference. So we see many Japanese corporates struggle to develop a new business with global and Japanese startups to make a very global business. And we have supported to make their communications smooth by explaining culture gap and market differences through the food tech studio bites. And so another point is, this is a Japanese specific ones, but R&D resources. So in Japan, so most researchers and engineers are still in corporates. So and there are very few people who dive into the startup world. So in order to accelerate the growth of the food tech startups, so we would like to encourage researchers and engineers to see startups as an attractive options.
Definitely, we'll definitely look to see more and more collaboration between corporates and startups. I think that's with the power of both. I think that's definitely one of the keys to find success globally. What about the Southeast Asia and the Asia-India market? Rohit, I think we talked a little bit about this before, but I think finding success locally first, and perhaps that's one of the key also. Can you talk to us a little bit about this more, about like how you kind of encourage different startups, especially from Singapore? I think a lot of the startups coming out of Singapore has a very global mindset. How do you encourage that, and how do you kind of help them go global?
Yeah, I think both William and Rio touched on the same topic, which is it's super important to understand the market and the market context. And I think food is one such category where it's not just about the product, but it's about the experience as much as it's about the product, and which means the experience counts from everything from how the food shows up to how it's packed to what's on the label and so on and so forth. So there's so many different aspects to experience which are shaped by both the actual food product, but also the communication around it, the positioning around it, the branding around it, and so on and so forth. So I think, and this changes more than the product changes by market. Like you could say the same Coca-Cola or a pizza or a fried chicken from one part of the world to the other, but its communication, its presentation, its go-to-market varies quite dramatically by market, and what could be premium in Indonesia could actually be mass affordable in Singapore, and so on and so forth. So we have like these different markets across the spectrum on a affordability curve as well. So I think it's pretty interesting how brands that are seen as quite premium and luxury in Indonesia are seen as affordable or mass market in high income countries like Singapore and US and so on and so forth. So I think it's just sort of combining those two words together and building things which could potentially go seamlessly across markets, and especially emerging markets. I think most of the brands that are coming out of Singapore or startups that are coming out of Singapore, they are now designing, keeping in mind the needs of Indonesia or Vietnam or India, both consumers as well as merchants that they would be serving. I think one of the very interesting things that we're seeing, and this goes more for SaaS startups, we're seeing that more and more SaaS startups out of Singapore are now designing for the small merchant in mind. They're designing for the small restaurant that runs with, say, a 5-people team versus trying to build for the McDonald's and the KFCs and the big chains of the world, because they think that look, the big chains are globally well served, and their IT and tech buying all sort of happens from the headquarters, and a small upstart from Southeast Asia might not have the best shot getting success with them in the early days. And so a lot of them are focused on building for these small merchants in Indonesia, India, Vietnam, like just across Southeast Asia, there are 100 million plus small merchants, not all in food, but like, that's what the opportunity is and the bulk of the opportunity is.
That's definitely a very good perspective to have for food tech startups going after the global market. I think to kind of echo on that, we talked a lot about this before, but you kind of also have to find success locally to extend before you kind of go after the global market, while keeping in mind that you kind of have to design with a specialty DNA, going after different markets, not just kind of duplicate the exact same thing over different geographic areas. That's a good takeaway for all startups trying to go global. All right, kind of want to talk about a little bit about the current kind of global COVID situation and the post-COVID world going forward for the food tech industry. Because as all of you guys know, that 2020 has been quite a big year for agri and food tech sector with total investment of more than 22 billion. I think COVID has definitely accelerated many adoption of new technologies and innovation in the food sector. My last question for all of you guys is, how do you think that COVID has affected the food sector? And what do you guys think our food industry will be like in the future of post-COVID? And let's start with Lil to talk a little bit about the Japanese market, one of the market that's hit the most currently, but also solving it, and also will be hosting the Olympics soon, hopefully.
Yeah, so same as the word, as another word. So the current pandemic hits very heavily in Japan. So we are still under the state of emergency in Tokyo, and so even as Victor said, so Olympic is still coming soon. So, but now the restaurants in Tokyo are not fully open, so still open by 8 at night. So, but in these days, so we are more conscious on wellness than ever before, and also becoming conscious on sustainability as well. So we realized that the traditional model of mass production and mass consumption will not be viable in the near future. So we has to be changed. So with that as a backdrop, food techs will become more and more adapted, I think. So in fact, let's say alternative protein products started to delivered in a supermarket or even in a convenience stores in Japan. So, and be tried mainly by younger generations. And back in 20th century, the Japanese food industry invented many items that are still loved in recent years. So like Nissin invented the cup noodles, or Fuji Oil started to develop soy meat in 1960s. So that the fact is not known by all over the world, but this is I think this is very honored to what Japanese can go global. So I hope to see the companies and startups bring their strengths together to create new products, which is very specific for wellness, their sustainability, and to enrich people's their lives and become the inventors of the 21st century. Yeah, so I'm very looking forward to the future of the Japanese food market.
Cool. What about the China and US market? Well, are you seeing like differences in adaptation and technology in the food sector, and will it continue to kind of grow even post-COVID, do you think?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you just look at e-commerce, e-commerce grew last year in China about 20% to 1.5 trillion US dollars. US at the same time grew 65% year on year, but only hit about 840 billion, right? So China still 2x. People are spending, just this year, in terms of food products, food retail, up 20% in the first 4 months this year, again. So you're seeing people really embrace even more than before. And China's the #1 in the world for this, going online, digital, but they still want to kind of know where their food is coming from. So you've seen a lot of TikTok, Douyin videos where farmers are holding up their chickens, and then you just click and buy, and then you get the chicken that you picked out on the internet. it. And so you want to see that the chickens are happy, healthy, and hopefully going to be tasty. The infrastructure, the traditional kind of wet markets, which are open markets where there's live animals and piles of vegetables and meat hanging from hooks. COVID has really put a hit on those because a lot of early COVID cases spread from wet markets, and so you're going to see a much more formalization of the supply chain. And this should not just be in China, but probably across Asia. And I think Rohit already spoke to that a little bit. The informal kind of unstructured wet market type of the market framework is probably going to gradually go away.
Definitely. So kind of going back to Rohit, to kind of give us a final perspective on like maybe Asia and Southeast Asia. Do you think that this COVID situation has accelerated the growth, and perhaps maybe after COVID, would the behavior stay, or would it be or would that kind of tone down a little bit? Perhaps I've been getting a lot of information from the restaurant industry, hoping that the world will change into its normal state. But I think there's more and more behaviors that's being built, and I'd like to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, no, again, echo a lot of points that William and Ro have made on how COVID has changed the food industry and what the emerging trends coming out of it are. I'd like to, maybe highlight one or two other points which have been quite interesting. I think one big shift, obviously, as we are all on Zoom, we are all working from home, and that means there's a lot more consumption happening at home versus dine-in or versus in offices, and so on and so forth. And how can food industry adopt itself for that? Because largely most of the consumption so far had been out of home. You were spending majority of the time that you were awake in offices or outside the home or meeting friends and so on and so forth. And now you're spending all of that time at home, and that's shifting consumption behavior from structured meals to small snackings throughout the day, and how do food companies adopt to that. It also means that a very simple example of that is we've never seen freshly brewed coffee in family pack sizes. It's always been you want your regular or a large or a small cup. But at the peak of the pandemic, Kopi Kenangan saw that a lot of people were ordering for the first time 4 or 5 cups at a time, and that meant that they're all pretty at home and they're ordering. And when at home, in markets like Indonesia, you have big families, you're ordering for the entire family at one go because you don't want to pay the delivery fees 5 times. And they've adopted and made it into a nice family pack bottle, which was a very different serving from what they were used to. So I think there are these tiny consumer behavior shifts as well, which have happened as a result of COVID, and companies could evolve themselves and place themselves to serve the customers better with a better experience that's designed for consumption at home.
Definitely. I think it's definitely very interesting to see how COVID has accelerated both on adoption of many technology in the food industry in different geographic area, as today we all kind of talk about. And by talking to you guys has definitely made me even more excited about the future of food industry. I'm really confident that the food tech sector will continue to grow in the coming years. Not only are we seeing entrepreneurs building great startups in the food tech sector, but also world-class investors such as Sequoia India, SOSV, and Foodland Ventures, spearheading the investment to move the food industry forward. Very happy to chat with you all today. And thanks again, Rohit, William, Lil, for joining us today on Foodland Ventures' very first Food Tech Demo Day to share about your expert insights. And now we will be moving on to the very exciting presentation of the 6 food tech startups of Foodland Ventures' first Food Tech Demo Day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Evelyn, the Program Manager of Foodland Ventures Food Tech Accelerator. At our accelerator, we help global founders by assisting them in food tech-related resources, and fundraise with food tech-specific investors to enable their fast growth in each of the problems they're solving to make the food industry better. As of today, our startups have already raised a total of more than $60 million, a total combined valuation of over $100 million across the APAC, Southeast Asia, and North America regions. Without further ado, let's get right into the main show. The demo pitch of Foodland Ventures' first cohort, our very first food tech demo day pitch session. First, let's welcome YD Lee, founder and CEO of Taiwan Agriculture, the smart supply chain services for both B2B and B2C food ingredient delivery.
Hello, I'm Yude. I'm founder and CEO of Taiwan Agriculture. Taiwan Agriculture is a fresh produce platform connecting farms to both restaurant and family tables through modern supply chain management. Our vision is to connect all producers and all ingredient users with a more efficient and sustainable approach using data and internet technology. The problem we are solving is massive. In Taiwan, there is more than 3 million tons of food wasted every single year. It is not just hurting the environment, but also the economy. The reason for that is the supply chain is long, analog, and fragmented. Agriculture is an industry where the nature of the supply side and the demand sides are so different. On one hand, professional producers usually specialize in just a few crops with a huge volume of production. On the other hand, families and restaurants at the demand side consume many food items at a much smaller volume per SKU. Therefore, producers can never forecast the demand precisely. Resellers always need to stock up to deal with unpredictable needs. The mismatch in supply and the demand side also caused agriculture supply chain to involve various specialty service providers. Without effective planning and communication mechanisms, the farm-to-table processes take a long time, which challenges the quality of perishable items. As a result, inventory losses is always a key issue for them. At Caitang, we leverage data to connect demand and supply in one platform, connecting business and logistic flows. Our solutions include 3 parts: a digital platform, efficient physical operations, and deep supply chain technology. This is how it works. Customers order fresh goods on our app. The platform aggregates all standardized demands and dispatches that to the producers. The producers then collect and deliver the producers to our distribution centers. Our team handles the quality check and quality control and deliver that to customers directly. The approach brings incredible benefits. Taking beef tomato, for example, compared to the traditional model, our approach cuts the total layers involved in the middle of the supply chain from 3 to 1. The total time from 3 to 4 days to under 1 day. With this model, customers can enjoy freshness of the goods and the transparency of the procurement costs. The producers can earn more with higher prices and stable orders. Since we launched in 2017, we have helped reduce over 500 tons of food wasted and much more mileage in between. We are the pioneer in Taiwan to provide digitized fresh produce solutions to service both business and individual families. For businesses, we work with medium to large-scale independent restaurants and the small chain restaurant brands. In the past 6 months, We also got attention from larger scale hotels and larger brands and started work with them directly. For individual families, we provide next day delivery services. Individual families can now select ingredients beyond vegetable and fruits. They can also enjoy variety of selections in meats, seafood, dairy products, and many other items. Our business model is straightforward. We procure in bulk from our producers and we sell them to our clients with a markup. Going forward, we will continue this hybrid model of 2B and 2C in order to achieve significant synergies from our unique shared usage of supply chain infrastructure. The market we are aiming at is huge. Restaurants and families in Taiwan purchase more than $3 billion worth in vegetable and fruits every single year. If you include broader categories such as meats, seafoods, dairy products, that will be more than 12 billion. Furthermore, we are at the heart, geographically and economically, in Asia. We are also aiming at the broader, more than 400 billion market that's yet to be disrupted. As of June this year, we have been serving over 400 restaurant clients, including Mia Cucina, Gloria Hotel Group, Tian Haoyun, and more. We have been growing at a 2x to 3x yearly for multiple years, and we are on the track to achieve that as well this year. We started with supplying vegetable and fruits only, and entered meats, seafood, and more categories this year, bringing higher volume per client consistently. Adding categories together with geographical expansion to more clients that will also help us unique economy. With both categories and geographical expansion plan in place, we project to grow even faster to reach over 100 million in revenue this year of 2023. For international expansion, we aim to enter Vietnam's Ho Chi Minh City in Q3 2022, and then Malaysia plus Singapore later on. All this cannot be achieved without the very diverse background of our team. With the past experience from leading organizations and companies such as Procter & Gamble, Uber, Meituan, Momo, and Apple. Moreover, we also lined up the best investors and advisors in the sector and beyond in Taiwan to be part of the great adventure. We are Caitan Agriculture. We make agriculture better with technology. We are currently raising to fuel our future expansion. Also, we would like to invite all the like-minded talents to consider joining our team to achieve something bigger together. Join our pursuit. Thank you.
If you would like to get connected to Caitan Agriculture, please scan the QR code. Next up is Bogey Huang, co-founder and COO of DocDoc Inc., the all-in-one digital ordering software and payment service platform built for restaurants of any size.
大家好，那我们是点点全球，我是 Bogey。那今天跟大家介绍一下我们的服务，快一点线上点餐。好，那先跟大家讲一下我们的公司团队好了，就是我们公司比较特别，我们是一个连续创业的一个团队，从14年然后创立了一个就是商用 WiFi 的公司。那到现在呢，其实我们已经跟很多的商圈还有县市政府合作，然后铺建就是 Free WiFi。那同时除了提供上网服务之外呢，我们这些 WiFi 热点呢，也可以提供人流分析的服务，然后去帮助就是大家可能去分析这些地区的一些客流量啊，然后跟一些应用这样子。那16年的时候呢，我们做了第二个题目是Go WiFi 旅游上网的服务，我们提供给台湾旅客到世界各地出国的时候的上网的服务。那就是这个公司，我们其实跟全世界电信商建立合作关系。那我们在各大机场都有柜台，就方便旅客去取还这些 WiFi 机。 那19年的时候呢，我们做了就是快一点线上点餐，那就是提供就是店家一个点餐的一个服务，那可以让他们节省人力，提高效率。那这个服务呢，大概在2年左右的时间，那已经有6000多个客户加入我们这个行列，这样子成长非常的快速。那我们的团队成员其实背景还蛮单纯的，都来自于广达电脑，那我们都是工程师的背景。好，那这是我们现在目前的一些合作的一些品牌，那已经超过6000个门市加入我们的行列了这样子。那从一开始创业的时候，就是可能是早餐店，像是麦味登啦、城市汉堡啦、珍芳这些品牌，然后慢慢的呢，我们拓展到了就是偏外带外送的类型，像是饮料店，然后就是中式的素食跟西式的素食，例如说德克士啦、起家鸡，或者是八方云集，那以及例如说Cloud Kitchen， 就是Just Kitchen 这样的云端餐厅，那一些就是健康餐盒的一些就是产业。那呢，到今年呢，我们又拓展了更多的就是市场。我们现在已经开始跟餐厅、米其林餐厅，然后就是购物中心，然后以及大饭店，甚至是一些菜市场开始合作，就是有越来越多的一些应用跟市场的拓展。那我们的就是成长也非常的快，就是每年都有超过就是1倍以上的一个成长。那在2020年的时候呢，我们平台的交易额是3.7亿。那在2021年到6月30号的时候，我们平台交易额已经超过了5.3亿了。所以其实今年又比去年又多了超过1倍的一个成长非常的快速。那餐饮市场呢，其实在台湾市场还蛮大的，就是大概有15万左右的一个餐饮门市，那产值大概是5700亿。那大部分的业者呢，他们看到其实就是可能例如说餐厅的 POS， 或是可能外送平台的一些服务这样子。可是呢，其实大家一直忽略了一个比较空白的市场，那就是外带。大家想一下，你每天吃早餐可能就是外带，中午的时候呢去买便当也是外带。那这些，所以其实你有很大的一个就是吃饭的钱呢是花在这些地方的，可是大家可能比较少去注意到，为什么呢？因为这些族群呢，他们通常是不用开发票，所以他们就没有 POS， 那所以你很难有科技的服务去导入。那我们就是看准这个机会，然后从这些店家切入，提供给他们一个方便的服务。那这些店家通常有什么痛点呢？就是在台湾他们通常被归类叫做小规模营业人，所以他们不用开发票。那他们通常是餐期非常的忙碌，然后专门做区域客，所以呢就是他们痛点就是可能人手不足啊，流动率很大，那就是需要被解决这些问题这样子。那我们提供给他一个很简单的解决方案，就是我们给他一个 LINE 或是一个网页，他可以看他的周边的顾客去做点餐。那点完之后呢，我们给他一台出单机，是直接印出订单。所以对店家来说呢，第一个他不用再花时间帮客人点餐了，他只要把LINE 或是网址给客人，他们会自己去点餐。那呢，在接单的时候呢，我们给他出单机印出小白单，所以店家不用去特别学习，他只要是看到有纸本订单印出来，他就去做去备餐就好了。所以呢，就是店家接受度非常高，这也是为什么我们可以市场成长很快的一个原因。好，那除了点餐以外呢，其实我们也整合了很多的服务，例如说线上支付，然后一些物流服务，然后甚至是不同的通路，例如说 Uber 或 Panda， 他们的订单进来以后呢，店家一接单也可以从我们的出单机印出来，让店家的就是备餐更加的方便。那此外呢，我们也有开放的 API， 所以我们可以去整合不同的 POS 或是 ERP， 一些连锁店就可以这样子有更好的应用。那因为前面点餐的时候呢，我们已经取得会员资料，所以我们可以把这些资料跟订单结合起来，那就是后面可以做更多的 CDP 会员 CDP 的一些应用，比如说会员贴标啦，然后就是一些BI 的分析或者自动化在营销都可以这样子去达到这些应用。那我们的商业模式很简单，我们产品服务基本上这2个方案，然后走订阅制，那1个月大概是1688或1988，那差别就在于可能一个是单纯只有出单机的方案，那一个就是搭配一台 WiFi 的 router。好，那我们的通路呢，大概都是以像电信商啦或是 LINE， 然后跟就是 POS 为主。那刚刚有提到，其实我们的市场一直在拓展。我们从最早开始的区域型门市、早餐店、便当店、咸酥鸡，然后到了可能外带外送为主的，例如说餐盒啦、云端厨房，然后呢，接下来我们也会开始布局餐厅跟大饭店这个领域。那这些就是慢慢的在那个餐厅端，我们把服务做好之后呢，其实餐厅还有个最大的痛点就是需要顾客，所以呢，我们现在开始去整合不同的会员流量，例如说可能银行点数啦，或是信用卡的红利点数啊，或者说跟一些不同的会员 APP 来做异业合作，然后呢，就是希望可以把更多的顾客跟他可能机灵的点数呢，然后导到就是我们的客户身上。可以想象一下，例如说，你可能信用卡点数只有200点，什么都不能换，可 可是呢，你今天可以拿去换，例如说麦味登的红茶，那你就会觉得好像这个感觉非常好，这是一个小确幸的概念这样子。好，那在未来呢，其实在台湾我们就会把餐厅的服务做好，然后再结合消费者的一个流量把它结合起来之后呢，接下来我们希望在明年年中可以开始布局到海外的市场。那我们初步锁定的是日本的市场，因为日本人也用 Line， 然后他们的对软体的付费的就是比例也比较高。然后另外是刚刚提到，因为我们之前已经在日本有一些布局，所以呢，其实我们就是在日本当地合作伙伴，所以呢市场拓展会更加的方便。好，那就是那当然现在在台湾我们还是期待可以找到更多的餐厅伙伴加入我们，所以就是如果大家对于数位转型有兴趣，那欢迎跟我们联络，谢谢。
If you'd like to get connected to Dada Inc., please scan the QR code. Next up is Eric Ko, the co-founder and CEO of 3T GDS Technology Inc., a global distribution service to enable digitalization of vouchers with blockchain-like technology.
大家好，今天很高兴来跟大家介绍 3T GDS。我们是家以数位资产实现跨境生活以及旅游生态系金融的公司。我想，电子化和数位化已经是一个无可避免的大趋势。我们大家想象一下，我们可以把你手边的住宿券、餐饮券，甚至交通票券，加以电子化后，变成数位资产，存放在你的手机里面。然后，你可以带着你的手机到世界各地去旅行，而在旅行途中，可以用自己所熟悉的 APP 或是通路软体，并且能够用你所熟悉的币别来购买旅行途中的商品。另外，也不用担心你的钱包或行李在旅行途中不见。为什么呢？因为所有的资产都已经数位化，并存放在你的手机里面了。而这个市场有多大呢？过去1年来，整个全世界的旅游消费金额已经达到6兆美元。如果将生活消费也加以数位化，这个金额将远远大于6兆美元。所以，我们3T是协助全世界的服务供应商，把他的服务数位化以后，让他们的商品能够迈向全世界。大家可以看到，我们现在目前已经签约的通路，包含了阿里巴巴，也包含了携程，也包含了美团所有线上线下的通路。那当然也包含了台湾的 KKday 和易游网等大型通路。那为什么这些通路会很快的跟我们进行签约呢？我想这跟我们的团队来自于不同的领域背景有非常大的关系。智达是我们的 founder。他同时也是台湾最大票券商大贺行销的创办人兼董事长。那我过去在支付、电信以及跨境金融方面有非常多年的经验，而 Marisa 在线上游戏以及支付产业也有累积20年以上的经验。所以我想大家可以看到，我们这个团队20年来磨一剑，已经有了20年以上的电子票券相关经验，有了20年以上的跨境金融的经验，更有23年以上旅游供销的相关经验。所以我们这个团队对于这个生态系可以说非常非常的熟悉。整个跨国的生态系里面有4个非常重要的相关伙伴。当然第一个就是服务供应商，第2个部分则是帮服务供应商来发行数位资产，并且进行担保的发行商。他必须负责跟金融机构去做协力，并做履约保证。最后就是把这个数位资产商品推到全世界的通路商。所以我们可以看到，这整个跨国的生态系是非常非常的复杂。那在这个生态系里面，服务供应商的痛点是什么呢？他们必须把他们的商品或服务上架到全球的通路。这么多的通路，会有语言上面的问题，以及会有汇差的问题。 当然，每个通路也会有最低消费金额的限制，这个对于各个商家以及服务供应商来讲都是痛点。那对于各个跨境的通路，他们又有哪些痛点呢？第一个，他们对账的人力必须随着服务供应商的增加，都必须有倍数的成长。第二个，服务供应商的商品非常的复杂，必须要将各式各样的商品或服务给标准化，尤其在语言的部分。那第三个，在这个跨境的清分算的时程，也是通路商的一个痛点。所以我们可以看到，在这整个跨境的生态系里面，谁可以帮商家把他的服务上到全球的通路呢？那谁又能帮通路标准化所有商家的商品或服务呢？我想这个并没有办法有单独的一家通路，或是有单独的一个大型的零售集团，甚至是一个金融集团来执行这件事情，因为这必须是要有一个非常中立的角色来扮演这样子的角色，而3T 则是扮演了这样子的一个中立的角色来进行相关性的整合。我们把所有跨境的服务供应商家集合起来，变成是一个跨国的供应商大联盟。所以我们把这整个生态系进行整合，并且自动化。我们提供所有的跨国的商家管理所有通路的库存，把他们的商品或服务数位化以后，上到所有国家的通路。我们也让跨国通路的订单能够统一汇整以后提供给商家，所以商家不需要到各个通路每天去做对账，而我们也让跨国的通路和跨国的商家解决了汇差以及跨境清分算的问题。同时，我们也提供跨境商家定位以及预扣保障的服务。所以3T 的愿景包含了第一个，我们建立全球第一个电子票券跨境分销平台。第二个部分，由于我们有这些平台大量的交易数据，所以我们能够让商家的服务精确的上到正确的通路。相反的，我们也让每个通路能够获得精确的商品，这就是所谓的 AI 智能获客。最后，我们也提供了商品或服务的数位资产化，以及让这些数位资产提供了一个交易的刺激市场。我想，大家过去认知的资产应该就是动产以及不动产的，但是想象一下，其实你所购买的任何的电子票券就是你的数位资产。所以我们把这些电子票券变成数位资产以后，所有你的吃玩买住行都是变成你的资产，而这个资产就像有价证券一样，可以进行交易，可以进行转售，它会有它的价值，所以也会有一个刺激市场的存在。当然，最重要的是，我们有类区块链的技术，让这个数位资产具有独一性，没有办法做任何的伪造。而不是像现在的电子票券，可能只要在手机上面的萤幕把它截图下来，就可以传给数十个人。实现这样子的梦想，在我们过去1年来，我们上线的国内外就已经有15个以上的通路，我们的国内商品和服务也有500个以上，而跨国的商品以及服务更是达到5000个以上。我们所 focus 的全球的分销通路有包含了 OTA， 那这个部分是我们集团20多年来原本就已经擅长的通路，另外也包含了 EC， 像是阿里巴巴、携程、美团、KKday 等，都是我们现在目前正在进行合作的通路。另外一个部分则是我所擅长的金融电子支付的部分，还有点数兑换的部分。这个是让每一个消费者在他所熟悉的生活里面常常会用到的 APP， 就可以获得你所需要更多的商品或服务。 那最后，当然在这个 social media 上面的网红行销，也是我们在今年上半年非常重要的一部分，也获得非常好的成果。网红的部分是让我们的服务供应商在网红介绍的同时，就能够进行线上的即时购买。我们把刚刚所提的跨境还有数位资产的清分算部分都已经提出了专利，并且已经在申请当中。最后，未来5年预估的营业额收入将达到
6800万美元。
因为我们的收入来源非常的多元，除了 SaaS 以外，我们也有协助了这些通路商以及服务供应商做技术的串接，相关的 API 的整合和自动化都是我们的收入来源。我们也从这个分销的系统里面拿到了整个销售的利润，同时我们也在数位资产的次级市场里面有可以获得非常大量的交易量以及相关的利润。那当然，数位资产在金融方面的运用更是非常的广泛以及多元。我想，如果大家有兴趣的话，我们可以再做进一步深入的讨论与了解。最后，我们也非常希望大家对于这个生态系有兴趣的伙伴与我们合作，我们一起来把这个数位资产和跨境生活的生态系给建立起来，让它茁壮并且长大。今天非常谢谢大家的聆听，也让我们一起来实现3T 的 Local King 大联盟。谢谢大家。
If you want to connect to 3T GDS, please scan the QR code.
Next up is Steve Tsai, the founder and CEO of Kebab Cloud, the smart retail management software and platform that enables a centralized management no matter how large your restaurant or retail chain is.
各位好，我是串串新零售云的执行长与产品总监 Steve Tsai。我们在2015年起初观察到了在安卓智能电视上打造电子看板应用 APP， 给连锁餐饮零售使用，应该是一个不错的起点，而开始这个事业。从2016年到2020年之间，我们陆续得到世界范围的连锁餐饮零售品牌的认同，其中也包含许多世界级的品牌用户，从阿里巴巴、盒马鲜生、麦当劳、宜家家居、LV 集团下的 Sephora 到鲜芋仙、Coco 都可、快乐柠檬、喜茶、满记甜品。在日本有日本的连锁房屋中介 Apamon Shop， 加拿大的大统华超市，以及新加坡的新加坡电信使用我们的解决方案。几年之间，我们积累了上百的品牌连锁，以及上万的门店用户使用我们的解决方案。产品不仅仅局限于电子看板运用于服务，也延伸到了音乐广播、叫号等位、点评导览等10多个应用云服务。串串公司与我们的应用云服务确实帮助了许多连锁品牌扩大管理规模。全球上百上千的店内，有着成千上万的装置需要被管理起来。我们的特点是传达易用的体验，把不起眼的场景持续优化。简单的事情每天做就不简单，将这个信念贯彻下去。以下将介绍得意之作的心情，将串串一系列的新特点与产品功能更新向各位介绍。
Looker 可以完美解决各种数位看板管理的问题，专为零售、餐饮连锁业者量身定制，可以预约排程或即时更新播放内容。U2P 规格升级，效能加倍，门店可以将多屏幕联动，并有同步的效果。Kebab Cloud 云端系统有效降低人力成本，提升营运效率，并且提供优质的客户体验。
设置连屏、跨屏播放效果需透过门店装置组，门店装置组支援竖屏、横屏，并且搭配多种萤幕数量，将装置放到对应的萤幕位置，即可开始编辑内容。连屏为装置播放相同内容，将装置分开后，我们将相同的档案以相同顺序摆放至各自装置，即可完成连屏播放效果。跨屏则为装置共同播放内容，将萤幕合并后放置档案，即可完成。接下来看看效果吧。
秘密社交密度侦测是疫情新生活的产物，透过摄像头管理各区域的人数上限，协助大卖场及餐饮店等场景管理排队的结账人潮或是后位外来人群，与 Looker 搭配使用，结合视觉提示及音效通知，以 AI 系统管理人流，让业者及消费者拥有良好的防疫消费体验。
秘密社交密度侦测可以自定区域范围及人数上限，左侧区域人数上限2人为已满状态，右侧人数上限1人。当人数超过上限，以视觉通知现场人员，搭配 Looker 云数位看板，更可增加语音通知，更有效地管控区域人流及社交距离。
Canva 提供一套简易的线上设计工具，拥有大量的设计素材与多样的内建版型，可以轻松地设计出吸引人的宣传内容，不仅降低了设计的人力成本，完成后更可以一键地发布到数位看板。
选取图片，一键去背，智能分析，轻松辨别。替换图片，更换背景，修改文字内容，快速完成作品。
Voicer 音乐公播系统不只是播放音乐，还可以上传广播的促销音档，定制专属自己门店的音乐曲库。门店管理对于连锁品牌来说，各方面都要求做到统一的形象，给每一位来店的顾客深刻的体验品牌价值与品味。此外 ，Devicer 智能远端管理，控制多门店、多装置，随时掌握，随时掌控。
开启远程控制按钮，选取所需应用，下发成功后，即可进行远程控制应用。
Hub 预约后位系统提供线上预约功能，手机扫码就可以线上预约。店员可以透过手机或平板在后台查看预约讯息，及时安排座位。预约完成后也会发送简讯通知，消费者可以透过简讯连结及时查看现场后位状况，弹性安排等待时间，让定位管理更有效率。
点击定后位钮，输入手机号码，选择定位，输入姓名，选择日期、时间、人数、桌型，一键完成定位。定位后，店家随即收到订单，可预先进行排座。手机现场扫码后位，一样输入手机号码，填写相关资讯，立即收到一组后位号码。店家可在平板上进行排座、叫号等操作。叫号后，大屏随即显示后位号码。
Gaster 触控导览提供大型商场品牌管理与活动公告。显示屏简单低度的设计，让消费者一目了然品牌内容，直觉操作的流程让消费者可以更容易找到资讯。当有了好的使用体验，就是业者迈向成功销售的第一步。
If you want to connect to Kebab Cloud, please scan the QR code. Last but not least, is Victor J. Chow, the founder and CEO of 3 Square, the cloud kitchen startup providing kitchen as a service, and also the creator of multiple virtual restaurant brands.
Hello, everybody. We are 3 Square. We are a digital food hall network and a virtual restaurant group. My name is Victor J. Chow, and I'm the founder and CEO. What I would like to highlight with my experiences is I was the former group COO of Honest Bee. I was an SVP of Asia Pacific and the Taiwan head of Food Panda, and I did a lot of other jobs before that. My first 2 jobs out of university were at Deutsche Bank and Morgan Stanley on Wall Street. And what I would like to highlight is I grew up in an immigrant family that owned and operated about 40 restaurants in the US. So I do understand just how hard it is to be a restaurant owner, and that's why I'm so passionate to help as many people as possible in this industry. So the problem as we see it is there's a lot of change going on in the F&B world. And traditionally speaking, restaurants need sizable investments and resources, whether it be headcount costs, money, time and effort. and what happens is the failure rate is 60%. Sit down at the same time has been trending negatively, and online food delivery has grown by 50x in the past 10 years. Obviously, COVID has battered restaurant partners even worse during this time. And what I really want to do is provide an alternative for restaurants to not only survive, but thrive in 2021 and beyond. So our solution is 3 Square will have various services in cloud kitchens. And we do that to maximize utilization and revenue generation. Kitchen as a service is something that we offer, and we operate a network of cloud kitchens that allow restaurants to expand quickly and inexpensively. Virtual brands are another part of our game. We create multiple 3 Square owned virtual brands for massive operations and franchising opportunities. So just so we're aligned, cloud kitchens are kitchen spaces made for delivery only or focused for delivery. And they're great because they allow restaurant partners to have lower costs, whether it be real estate, labor, overhead, upfront. Restaurants can focus on the one key thing that they love doing, making great food for great customers. The awesome thing about cloud kitchens, and specifically 3 Square cloud kitchens, are we provide a really different margin and cost structure compared to the traditional F&B groups. So what you'll notice on the left is labor costs, rent and overhead expenses, and even delivery commissions and potentially food costs change dramatically. That every percentage counts here. And if you notice on the right-hand side, the upfront investment is very different as well. A traditional restaurant may need up to $275,000, but for us, up to $20,000 is all you need. The other thing I'll mention is the time to launch could be 3 months or even up to 6 months for a traditional restaurant. But for us, again, 3 weeks is all you need to be up and running. Finally, if you look at margins, generally speaking, it's about 3 to 9% for traditional restaurants. But for us, it's about 20% for a healthy business. Overall, the business risk is very different between a traditional and 3 Square cloud kitchen. So what I want to show with our pictures here is we focus on delivery, takeaway, but we also have a small section for dine-in, and that's for convenience sake. The other thing I want to highlight is we have a door that only opens for restaurant partners and our staff. So that keeps everybody safe and sound. We provide a lot of services to our restaurant partners, and that's why we're trying to create a great ecosystem. A lot of the things that restaurateurs don't want to deal with, we take care of, whether it be exhaust or ventilation systems, fire safety infrastructure, electric, gas, plumbing upgrades. These are all things that have to happen, but we take care of it so people can just move in, start cooking, and start making money. The other few things that I really want to highlight is we have a great tech and POS system that allows us to do a lot of different things. And also our marketing and analysis is very strong. Finally, our consulting services allow us to help restaurants grow their business, whether it be optimizing their menu for food delivery, or also even creating that second or third or fourth brand within the same kitchen. So virtual brands are another part of the business that we do. We actually have built, and we are now operating and will franchise some virtual restaurant brands. So we have created 6 brands right now, and we have more on the way. And our menus are designed with overlapping ingredients and the same method of cooking. We have limited items per menu. So just to remind you, a traditional restaurant that has 20 pages, if you put all 20 pages on a delivery platform, it's not going to perform very well. We're able to optimize everything. And finally, we are able to squeeze several brands in one kitchen. The other part of the game is franchising 2.0, as I like to call it. We are able to franchise in-house brands to monetize restaurant partners' excess kitchen capacity. So what that is we have a very low or even no CAPEX business model for both us and our restaurant partners that is simple, flexible, and built for rapid expansion. Restaurants, I want to highlight, they utilize existing labor, existing equipment, existing real estate, and existing utilities to work with us. So we are really able to help them grow their business and make extra money. So you're very curious about the details, right? So here we go. We have a kitchen that is 250 square feet, and we are able to generate the revenue of 6 brands. So something the size of a beverage store takeaway is able to generate 6 brands. 一个6平的厨房可以产生6个品牌的营业额。I want to say that in Chinese just so I emphasize it. And what really that means to me is we're able to prepare everything, scale everything, and move quickly with all of these virtual brands. Menus are designed for optimization and really maximization of digital real estate. So what that means is this. Traditionally, if you walk into a supermarket or a convenience store, you can drink a Coca-Cola, Sprite, Fanta, Minute Maid. At the end of the day, whatever you take, Coca-Cola Group earns from that. And we've taken that concept and modernized it to 2021 with our virtual restaurant brands. Tech and data is very important to me, and it should be important to you as well. We have a great website, and we will be launching shortly a page that allows us to do deliveries, whether it be takeaway, dine-in, delivery. These are all functionalities we have. We have a POS and KDS system that is magnificent. It's integrated with all the top food delivery platforms, and we are able to do a lot of analysis and reporting through all of this. And this is where it gets interesting. We're able to take the data, analyze it for ourselves and for our restaurant partners, and give them key insights into what to do next. So the total addressable market for food delivery and conversely, cloud kitchens, it's huge. In 2025, it'll be 192 billion US with a B. And out of that, more than 50% is taking place right here in Asia. We're launching in Taiwan, and Taiwan's a great place, and the reason why is we do over $1 billion in food delivery a year. As of last week, we already do more than 800,000 orders a day. That is more than many of our friends over in Southeast Asia. Speaking of Southeast Asia, after launching in Taiwan, we will be going to Southeast Asia and North Asia very quickly. When I look at our competitors, I like to think about what we do best. And this is what I would share with everyone. We have operational experience in restaurant ecosystem partnerships in the thousands, not just in Taiwan, but also across Asia. Cloud kitchens are our focus and our core business. We are nimble, and we're able to strategize, implement quickly and effectively. The great thing about our business model is we have multiple income streams. From kitchen as a service, we collect monthly reoccurring payments, and we get a percentage of all sales. On the other side of our business, which is virtual brands, we have revenues from operations, and also we get revenues from franchising. Finally, I want to highlight that we have group bargaining power. It's really different when you have 25, 60, 100 brands negotiating delivery commissions, food costs, packaging costs, kitchen equipment costs, etc. We're really, really knowledgeable in marketing and PR. We've done it before, and what you'll see is from 4 weeks ago, when we launched our first location, we have shown up in more than 250 publications across the world. Not just in Taiwan, but the US, Europe, Southeast Asia, North Asia. We are there. Just Google 3 Square and you will see it. Our milestones are as follows. This year, year 1, we will launch with 3 locations in the greater Taipei city area with 24 kitchens, 39 brands, and 15 franchisees. By year 3, we're going for 5 APAC markets. We're gonna be in 5, and that means 24 locations, 192 kitchens, 312 brands, and 150 franchisees. The key on how to implement and succeed is your team. And 3 Square has a great team. They're experienced. They have a proven track record. They are people that I've worked with before. They're subject matter experts in their industry. They love food and they have experience in food tech, and most of them own or have invested in restaurants. We've all worked together before, so we know how to discuss, strategize, and also implement quickly. Finally, people ask me, what does 3 Square mean? And the name 3 Square is based on the common English phrase, 3 square meals a day. What I really do hope is everyone does get to enjoy 3 meals a day, and hopefully some of those meals are with 3 Square. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
If you'd like to get connected to 3 Square, please scan the QR code. Now, let's hand it back to the founders for the closing remarks.
Thanks again for joining us today to understand more about the future of the food industry. We hope that you are as excited as we are. If you are a startup, VC, or a food industry partner interested in knowing more about food tech, please do reach out to us at Foodland Ventures. We'd love to connect you with the global food tech ecosystem.
谢谢大家今天前来参与餐饮界的未来。如果各位希望得到进一步的资讯或是洽询合作，欢迎直接联系团队或是福田资本。
如果你正在进行跟餐饮相关的创业，希望连接产业资源以及国际市场，欢迎申请加入 Foodland Ventures 第2届加速器计划，让我们一起参与有史以来最壮大的餐饮科技转型。